if we had, who are the best players position by position in the league and giving them an order to do so. They kind of will just take a few players and go with that. And of course, the fans will vote on people. So it's almost, not usually a good time to assume, which player you think is going to be the best. I think I'd like to do that, for us now with, a few games coming up on the schedule, but for the most part, news on the NBA is down. So I think I'd just love to talk about who I think are the best power forwards in the game. And I think it's clear to say that at this point in the game, power forwards and forwards are the most important position in the NBA. At least they're the ones that are most talked about. The power forwards and small forwards, of course. LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony. And just for this sake, I'm putting James and Anthony, although they both play power forward at times, in the small forward slot. And instead, I've chosen 10 power forwards who I think are possibly the best in the game right now. So I've chosen Kevin Love from the Timberwolves, LaMarcus Aldridge from the Blazers, Anthony Davis from the Pelicans, Blake Griffin from the Clippers, Anthony Bosch. Yeah, not Anthony Bosch, but Chris Bosh from the Heat, Paul Millsap from the Hawks, Dirk Nowitzki from the Mavericks, Zach Randolph from the Grizzlies, Serge Ibaka from the Thunder, and Tim Duncan of the Spurs. And in making this list, I thought, I'm talking about who is the best in the game right now. Because if we look at this game, 5 years in the future, Bosh and Dirk and Randolph may not be on this list. Maybe even, Bosh will be on the tail end of his career, as will Millsap and Aldridge and a few others. So I decided to say, of course, in 5 years, there'll be no doubt it will be Anthony Davis. There's nobody else that you'd rather build your franchise around. The dude's a monster, and I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But just for the sake of today, I'm going to talk a little bit about who I think the 10 best are in the game today, and I've ranked the top 10. Number 10, I've got Serge Ibaka. Dude can make a shot from just about anywhere on the court. I remember that, well, not on the court, but anywhere inside the 3-point line. I remember a couple of years ago when he went 11 for 11, and I think it was against the Heat, and totally brought the Thunder back against the Heat and beat them in a quite memorable game. And the dude can block any shot from anywhere else on the court, but I don't see him. I see the guys that are on this list as all better than him. Of course, I choose him over any of the 20 other power forwards that are playing in the NBA today. But I certainly like him. I like him a lot, but I don't want to just say Serge Ibaka if you're listening, which again I doubt you are. I'm not giving you a bad time. I just think that everybody else on this list just happens to have more of an offensive and more of a defensive game. He's known for your shot blocking. You're known for your occasional dunk and mid-range jumper. I think that in a list with people this good, I think we should minimize it a little bit. So Serge is number 10. Number 9 is Dirk Nowitzki. And this is terrible to say because a few years ago I would have put Dirk near the top, but Dirk's lost his momentum a little bit, and I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with the team. I'd still pick Dirk Nowitzki, to make a shot from just about anywhere on the court. The dude is amazing. But again, I don't see him as much of a defensive player as I do on the other teams here. So I'm going to put Dirk at number 9. So again, Ibaka at 10, Dirk at number 9. Let's go to number 8. Who else do I have from this list? I would put Paul Millsap from the Hawks. The dude's a beast. He can do pretty much whatever he wants with the basketball. He's a high flyer, he's a dunker, and he's pretty decent man on defense. But again, everybody else on this list is just too good to put him any higher. So I'm putting Millsap at 8. Randolph, I'm putting at 7. I think Randolph, of course, is a defensive beast. He is about back to the basket. He's about the most traditional power forward on this list. He's a true 4. And I really like that. I think, I'm not much of a basketball fundamentalist. I never played very much when I was a kid, and I was never very good. But just something, when I think of, Bill Russell and John Havlicek and, the basketball that they kind of played, something about that just makes you feel good. And Randolph is one of those guys that you'd love to have on your roster because he's a tough dude. He'll get you 20 rebounds on an exceptional night. He's capable of scoring 15 to 20 points a night if he really wants to. And he's not doing it in any special way. He's just going back to the basket and using post moves on people. So I like Randolph a lot, but not as much as the other people on this list. Blake Griffin, I'm putting at number 6. Griffin is, I think I've said the word beast several times, but I think if there was any player on this list that I would use that word to describe, it would probably be Blake Griffin for obvious reasons. The dude's obviously right up there with LeBron as the best dunker in the league, if not the best. I I think we'd love to see Blake Griffin and LeBron James and Paul George in a dunk contest. Thank goodness George is doing it, but Griffin and James would just make the show so spectacular. And Griffin's done pretty good at developing his mid-range jumper and his three-point shot. So he's not a guy I would go to, certainly with the guys on this list. I wouldn't go to him #1 overall, but I do think that he's a great player, and he's somebody that I should give a little bit of props. So Blake Griffin, you're at 6. Number 5, I think this would be a surprise to most people listening, but I put Chris Bosh at number 5. He's a great player. The dude can make threes, obviously. He's probably the best, well, except for Kevin Love, he's probably the best three-point shooter on this list. And the dude can stretch anywhere on the court. I'd trust him to make a mid-range jumper with my life on the line. The guy is very good at what he does. And honestly, I think he's overlooked, for clear reasons. That, if you play with LeBron James, first of all, you're not getting much publicity. If you're playing with Dwayne Wade, you're not getting a lot of publicity. And Bosh is kind of the underwritten, member of the Big Three. But I think, I'm pretty sure that he's the reason why the offense does what it does. Just because of the screens that he sets and the ability he has to stretch the floor. It's a stretch 5 is really what he does. I like Bosh, and I'm putting him at number 5. Number 4 is where I'm putting Tim Duncan. The dude can play, and he still can. I'm such a big fan. Again, speaking about fundamentalists with Randolph, why not the big fundamentalist with Tim Duncan? The dude can do, again, whatever he wants with the basketball. He can make a 3 occasionally, but he's quite content with dominating the post. And that's a guy, if I had to choose, really anybody on this list, for their post game alone and their traditions, I would choose Tim Duncan. I'm putting him at number 4. Number 3, Kevin Love. Kevin Love is the number 1 offensive player in the league, and I'm saying that, probably behind Carmelo Anthony, and I'd put him ahead of James, though I'd put Kevin Love at number 2. Again, everybody knows his three-point potential. Everybody knows his 20 rebounds a night potential, which is, I don't know how that's possible. Really, is it possible to make 4 threes in a game and 20 rebounds? I don't know, but, Kevin Love is coming off a streak, I think, where he had 15 rebounds, 20, I think he's currently on a streak, or this may have ended, I'm not 100% sure, where he had 20 points, 20 points, and 4 of those were threes, and 15 rebounds for like 6 or 7 games. It's the longest such streak of any. It's so crazy. Now, he's not a beast on defense like the next 2 on the list are. So that's why I've got him at number 3. I think he's almost even more of a little bit of a liability. He's not a guy that's going to do much on defense except for get the rebound after you miss the shot, which, of course, is an important attribute, but it's not something that I'm choosing in the top 10 center or power forwards in the game right now. Number 2 is Anthony Davis, and I don't say this lightly. I think that Anthony Davis is the second best defender in the league today, behind LeBron James. LeBron can, of course, guard any position he wants and guard it well. But Anthony Davis is somebody that you can trust to come out of nowhere and swat the ball. His offensive game is, oh my goodness, the dude has so many dunks. His mid-range jumper is very amazing. He's a guy that's going to get a ton of rebounds and a ton of points for the Pelicans. And quite honestly, he's the best player on that team, and possibly, including Dwight Howard, James Harden, Dirk Nowitzki, whoever else is on the Grizzlies. Everybody, Marc Gasol, Michael Conley. I would take Anthony Davis first overall in that Southwest Division, the best player there. And thank goodness, I'm so surprised that he wasn't announced to the All-Star team, but, news breaking out today as well. One of the biggest news is that he's coming in to replace Kobe Bryant, who should not have made the All-Star list, which is just a great example of what, the majority can do in a society, to put Kobe Bryant, who has hardly played this entire year in the All-Star game, when somebody much more deserving, such as Anthony Davis, should be in the game. I don't know how that happens, especially when, Anthony Davis the game's being played in New Orleans, where Anthony Davis plays all the time. Why not appease the New Orleans crowd by, putting a player that deserves to be there in the game? But, that's a tangent for another time. But Davis is replacing Kobe at number 2. But he's not replacing LaMarcus Aldridge, who's the number 1 player on this list. Again, I think he's the guy that makes that team, makes the Blazers go. And I don't, say that lightly, because I know that Damian Lillard, who, is participating, I think, in 5 events in the All-Star game. It's crazy how much he's doing, how much and how versatile of a player he really is. But Damian Lillard's not the guy that I would go to score on the Blazers. If you're asking somebody to score, I would pick LaMarcus Aldridge because the guy will make a shot from anywhere inside the 2-point line. The best mid-range jumper out of everybody on this list. The best, second best back to the basket player after Tim Duncan on this list. And Aldridge will be there. Aldridge will still be playing in 5 years, so pretty soon he could be the best back to the basket player if Davis doesn't overrun him. So that's my list. Again, Ibaka, Dirk, Millsap, Randolph, Griffin, Bosh. Who did I say was number 4? Oh, Duncan, Kevin Love, Anthony Davis, and LaMarcus Aldridge. That's my top 10 power forwards in the NBA. I'm going to give you guys a quick 5-minute, song or whatever, and then I'll come back, give a brief talk about the Olympics briefly, the opening ceremony that was today at 10 o'clock this morning, and I'll talk a little bit about what's happening in local UCA sports. So stay tuned and be ready to rock. See you in a bit.